Folks, we're here at the Andalusia Library with Miss Linda Grimes Davis, who is over I call it the historical department, genealogy, what is it? Genealogy department. But you got all sorts of other stuff here. And we're going to be walking through, and she's going to show us how, if somebody comes in and says, how do I begin to start looking for my family in the past and where they're at, and some of the information that I didn't even know about, like the counties were important at certain years and knowing where they were at. Believe it or not, Covenant County was Conecuh County at one time. So we're going to show you that too. And then we're going to show you the filing cabinets and where everything's at and how that works. And then we're going to do microfiche and go on. How long have you been doing this, Linda?
13 years.
13 years. You enjoy it?
I do.
Now, there's a Facebook page called Growing Up in Andalusia. And we've noticed you've been posting a lot of pictures and a lot of information on there. Yeah. And it's stirred up the community some for the history.
People really because you never know what I'm going to post next. It could be something from my age group. It could be something from the really old days. And then people post their pictures too. And just a lot of fun.
Well, one of the things I noticed was Norman Hobson's son, Hunter, posted a picture on there from, what was it, the 1940s or something?
The old funeral home?
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure what age that was, but it's a wonderful picture.
It was. It had, well, I would say 40s, 50s, and it was where the...
I'm sure it was the 50s, though.
Really?
It may have been, but I'm thinking it was farther back than that. But
it might have been the 30s. I don't know. But it was cool. And when I saw that, I went, snap. I had no idea that Town and Country, what is that, dress shop was actually a funeral home at one time.
Yeah, which was actually a real home at one time.
Which was, yeah. So
it's been there a while.
Yeah, and you wouldn't, yeah, I mean, yeah, I ain't afraid of them ghosts, but...
The fact that it used to be a house, and then it was turned into a funeral home, and then that...
Yeah, well, we may do that one night. Spend the night in Town and Country. But, no, Eddie, don't do that. But that got me like, wow. Okay, that kind of clicked the switch in me and said, wow, how many times do I go by buildings and not know what the history is? Then I got talking on there, and Randy Franklin, the gentleman that is going to be hosting our history show that we're doing at WKNI, started telling me all this stuff about that building, that person. And I'm like, you need to know this stuff. But we came to the main source, the main place where all the information is kept. And what I want Teresa to do, if you don't mind, Teresa, is pan around this room right here slowly and let the folks see what's upstairs at the library. And she's going over there. There's a reading area with the newspapers that are current. And then there's some magazines over there as well. Then you can sit down on the couch and chairs. What is that, National Geographic over there?
That's National Geographic. You never get rid of those.
Wow.
So those are, I think, all the way down to these or something.
Priceless.
Because we just don't get rid of those. We've got some Life magazines in the back that we don't get. Some of those are World War I.
I was going to say, if you got the one with the Kennedy assassination, that I remember that as a child when that came out, and it was huge. It was a huge magazine.
We don't really put those on display, but we do have them.
And then you've got some file cabinets over there, and it looks like some encyclopedias. And
it's more of our reading and resource area, where if you wanted to come and look for antiques and stuff like that, you can go over there or find out how to make out your own wheel. That's over there. And this side over here she's looking at now is strictly genealogy. Okay,
now if she'll stop on that brown card catalog over there, we're going to go to that. Not right now, but that has got some of the most informative information, if that's not an oxymoron, but it's got a lot of information in there that you've compiled over the years. And
Margaret West actually started the genealogy department, and so it started with her, and then they just didn't really have enough people to really take over this area. But because I had been doing my own family history, it was kind of easy for me. People say I'm just actually just a little bit nosy.
It helps, don't it?
So that's why I like it. I don't know whether it's true.
Don't look up my family because we don't have no roots here.
You never know what you'll find.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Eddie has roots in Andalusia. Boy, that'd be headline news all over. But if she's going around here, this is also the genealogy. And as she gets over here past that one door, there are 2 cabinets over there that are very instrumental in your research for genealogy.
Correct.
And the blue and the gray. And we're going to be going to those too once we get started over here. But I just wanted to give folks an idea of what access they have to the assets to do the research, and you're here to help them along the way, right?
I always tell everybody, just get a notebook, go to your oldest family member, and start asking questions. Most of us have a tendency to wait till we're in the 50s before we start asking questions.
Right.
Which is, by then, it's, a lot of speculation. But if the younger people would go to their grandparents right now and start asking questions and just start writing down everything they tell you. And I will tell you a little bit of, you think, well, I don't really think that was true. A lot of times there's a little bit of truth to a little bit of storytelling going on in the family. And you have to figure out which is correct.
Wow.
And, that's... Some of it, we've got a lot of the old newspapers all the way back to 1899. I've been compiling those for years, and you can go to those and you'll find out the truth behind a lot of this stuff.
Well, over in those brown cabinet or card files, card catalogs, I'll get it right. I'm in the library, folks. I'm out of my realm. But over at the card catalogs over there, you've got things in there such as fires, murders, I don't know, court sentencing. I mean, you've got all sorts of categories over there, and we're going to do one for fun, too. I've got somebody that came up to me last night at McDonald's and said, boy, I'll tell you what, I know that place had to be a hospital at one time or a doctor's office. And I go, why? And when I tell you the place, you're going to sit there, and I already found out the truth already, I think the truth. But anyhow, they said, well, this had to be a doctor's office or something. There's a ghost. And they described, the individual and all that. And I was like, well, I don't know, that'd be interesting. And today I found out. I said, hey, what was that building before? Was it ever a hospital? Oh, yeah, that was Dr. So-and-so's office. We'll talk about that in a minute. Don't let me go out of here without talking, but it's over there. Well, I'll tell you right now, it's the old daycare center on East 3 Knott Street. That is closed now. That is where Alan Woodard's office is. Okay, and that whole section there. And that was it was a lady doctor.
Dr. McDonald?
I don't know, but we will certainly find out.
That's the only one that comes to mind.
But, yeah. And so that was interesting. So we're not going into ghost stories or anything like that with any of this. We're just saying there's history, and history sometimes is ghostly.
Yes, it is.
And it becomes a passion because it's kind of like touching family members and people that you never got to meet, but you get to meet them through their history.
You're right. And it is a lot of fun, and it is very addictive.
You should see this woman do it now.
I always say I go to my family, my church cemetery, and that's where I have my family reunions because it seems like I'm related to everybody in that cemetery.
Well, we're talking about your history too. Gosh, yeah. But, well, standing here the other afternoon talking to you, getting ready for this, we found out that you were related to people that we knew. And it was like, really?
If you've been in Andalusia for a long, long time, or your family, there's a good chance that you're related by marriage.
Somehow.
Way,
Yeah.
My ex-husband and I were related by marriage 2 different ways. And
I'm not going there.
Told us something right there, but it didn't. But that was when I started doing it, and then trying to figure out all these people. Why?
Find out who's safe to marry.
That's not really funny. My daughter's really upset about that right now.
Oh no! Tell me it ain't so.
Oh, she is so far beyond. No, it's so way down the line it don't even count.
So really, let's go ahead with this interview.
I'm gonna embarrass her by saying anything else.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, okay, and then we're going to be setting up over at the desk, and we're going to sit there and you're going to show me some paperwork to start out with, because everything starts with paperwork.
It does.
And we have to get there. Lots and lots of notes. The more notes you have, the better prepared you are, the better your research will go. So we'll be right back with Miss Linda Grimes Davis, and no, she's not related to the Davis.
No.
Okay, but was partially related by marriage twice in Grimes.
Right. No.
No, by Davis. Okay. See, now I'm confused.
Davis married the Shavers.
We're gonna have some fun.
Married the Grimes, and there you go.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
Well, there's no Lewis there, so we're safe. We're not related, but we're not getting married because my wife's over there. Okay, let's get out of this thing before we get in trouble. So keep it real, keep God in it. We'll be back with more from the Andalusia Library with Miss Linda, the head. I want to use the word custodian. Is that a proper word? No.
Custodian cleans up. I clean up your family history.
No.
I'm genealogy librarian as well.
Genealogy librarian, mouthful.
Librarian.
Librarian.
Okay.
We'll be right back. All right, we're here with Miss Linda, and we're over here at the table right here in front of us. And what paper would I come in with first? What would you recommend that I have started on?
One of these, this is a 5 generation. Some people have 4, some people have them bigger sheets. But just a basic sheet, if you don't have one, we can give you one. And you'll start with your name. Then you want to put your dad and your mom, their mom on these, and then it goes to, all the way down. Kind of gives you an idea about when everybody was born, and lots of times, if you don't know, if you'll just go to the cemetery and read the headstone, all you need to know.
Life and death and dates will be there, and a lot of times also in the cemetery you see, the family members in the same plot area.
Right, and if they're in the same plot but you haven't found that person yet, keep it anyway, because sooner or later you're going to find that person where they fit in that family, or they wouldn't be in that plot.
Right.
And because sometimes they'll have a totally different name, but if they're in that same plot, there's a reason. People just don't let strangers be buried in their plot. When you go looking for a lot of this, you need the census records. Okay, all this, census records come out every 10 years, and they really basically started in 1820. But back in those years, they only gave the head of household, how many people, 10 to 20, age, maybe 5 to 10 years old, how many people in that household were those ages.
Right.
As the census went on, then they started putting the head of household, and then they would give the wife, and then they would list the children. So I'll get into that in a minute, but that's where you'll get a lot of this information right here that you need. If you know let's say I knew my daddy's name, but I really wasn't sure about my granddaddy's name, I could go through, and he was born in 1919, so I could look at the 1920 census and just look for his name, and it's going to show me his father's name.
Okay.
So, and you'll know it's probably the right person because the census records gives when they were born and how old they were at the time the census was taken. Anyway, I'm going to get that into a minute.
Okay.
This little sheet right here I have taken out of a book, and it just shows you how the counties have changed as time went on.
And you got the years and everything of where that's at.
This is 1818, and this is all Alabama territory, and this section was all Conecuh County. And then as time went on, our section was still Henry County, and then by 1840 we finally changed to, we had our own Covington County. And then it's pretty much stayed the same until 1870. They had another little change down here, but anytime you're looking for the older years, you need to look at Covington County and Henry County, as well as Conecuh County. And I'm getting tongue-tied, but
So actually, Conecuh County was our county back in the 1818. And then, what was it,
it stayed that way till 1820, and then Henry County came in, and they created 3 counties from this one section.
Right. And then, what was it, 18...
It stayed that way till about 1850, and then Henry County
Went all the
and
way in the
Dale
corner.
County and Coffee County came in. What all used to be Henry County, Coffee County took up. Covington County, Coffee County, Dale County, and then Henry
And that's
County.
no way like it is today.
This is the way it is today. It has not changed since then, since 1870.
Wow.
So,
So that's important information, because if you're really researching deep and you can't find anybody in Covington County, the reason is Covington County did not exist.
right.
All
I
right.
mean, we were here in 1821, but it didn't, see, the lapse in the years, there's no, I don't have a map-wise of 1830, is
Right.
what I'm saying. But that is, I mean, we were here in 1821, so, but I would still check Conecuh County, because lots of times the census takers would overlap on the lines. Okay, I want to share this with you before I forget. There are a lot of genealogy sites out there that a lot of people really like, and they think they have to pay for everything. They don't. This is a, if you go to Bureau of Land Management, you can put your person that you're looking for. I normally put in, like I would put in Sandley and then J. I know his name was John Sandley, but because so many people in the older days just signed by their initials, that's the best way for me to find out. Well, his name popped up, and this is the information I get. He bought his land, or he homesteaded his land in Montgomery, and this was 1862. And it gives you a general idea of where his land was. Here's Red Level, here's River Falls, so it's close to River Falls, which is true because he's buried in a little church at River Falls. Then
That's
you
cool.
can,
That's
yeah.
really neat.
But you can also print out that this is the real record of where he bought his land. And it gives you the date and, you know, all the information you need to know.
And that's his real signature, obviously, a photocopy of it. But that's his real signature, and that's like being connected.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Seeing that, and you sit there and go, he signed that. You know, that was with his own hand, and that's kind of
I'm not really sure if he did or not, because this looks very
similar. So sometimes they couldn't write, and somebody else
Right.
did, and that was normal.
Yeah.
Back in those days.
Back in those days, it's fairly normal.
At least he looked at it. You blew it for me, saying it was a connection there, but that's all right. He looked at it. He was a part of it.
Yeah. Well, he went up there to do it. And okay, and then we have this other. It's called trackingyourroots.com, which is also a free site, and she has, her name is Lisa Franklin, and she has just all kinds of information on all the counties in Alabama. And then we have the Archives, Alabama Department of Archives, who has set up a database of all the Civil War from the South. You type in a name, let's say, I had one up on my computer, but you can type in, let's say, Fuquay, J, and it will tell you where they mustered in at, where they mustered out at, where they were getting their pensions at, If they died, it would tell you whether they died or they paroled out. There's just tons of information on that.
Wow.
And that's free. And you can also copy your findings out of that. So not everything has to be paid for on the internet.
And there's a lot of times, well, that's how we started, or I did, looking up my family. And, I was getting fascinated, but one of the things that you mentioned here the other day is sometimes on that internet setup, not all the correct information is there.
It's not. Sometimes people think they're correct, and they'll donate this information out to, I don't want to name any.
That's okay.
But they'll donate their information to some of these websites. But if they get one thing wrong, everybody else is going to be wrong from then on. So I'm not saying don't use these sites. I'm just saying let that be a tool. Okay, I found this. I know where to go look for this now. And then backtrack, because you don't want to take everybody's word for it. Just because, they're supposed to be, that is their business, of course, but they're not going to go back and look through all their information and see if this one person is correct when they're dealing with millions of people. So that's your job if it's your family.
Well, let's go ahead and take another commercial break, and
Okay.
then I want to kind of walk around to some of these places that we talked about on the opening of the segment, and hopefully everybody's able to hear that part of the segment because Eddie forgot to turn your microphone on, but we've been known to do that on occasion. So, but we're here with Linda Grimes Davis here at the Andalusia Library, and we certainly appreciate all the effort that you're taking today to share with our viewers how to get started in genealogy. And we have all the assets here to do it. We'll be right back right after these messages. Again, we're here at the Andalusia Library. We got Ms. Linda Grimes Davis with us, and she is the person over the genealogy department and need to know department. I mean, this is fascinating so far. I remember growing up as a kid that I learned the Dewey Decimal program, and you had to go over to a card catalog and look up, all the names of the author, and you had it in numbers, you had it in names, and it was all categorized.
Right.
And I remember having to do that. Nowadays, they don't have to do that.
No.
In most cases. However, the one thing you don't have on computer right now is this card catalog.
Well, we do have the books, but we don't have, if you're trying to look for, let's say you were looking for a Benson, if it's a folder that we have in the blue cabinet about the family Benson, that's not going to be on the card catalog. If we have a book that's just stated Benson, it will be just like if you were doing a book in downstairs, a fiction book. You're going to have your number right there, and you're going to get it off that card, and you're going to follow it around the cabinet until you find your number and find your book.
Okay. And that's the same way that you do with the people search. So.
But that's only these first 3 cabinets. Everything
Right there.
after that is totally different ball game.
Okay. What do we got? Oh, look at that. Wait a second. You got churches, circus clubs, you got crime, you've got editorials, Andalusia I guess it's
Yeah, it's Andalusia A, B, and C.
A, B, and C.
And we've got it categorized, so.
Okay, here's a book, and it says D1 A accidents, D2 A accidents continued, then airport and airplanes, Andalusia Adult Activity Center, Adult Learning Center. So you've got all of that on here. Okay, Chamber of Commerce, City Council, City Library. Gee, I wonder why that would be there. But community development.
But as you go down, it drops from just Andalusia to Covington County. So it's
So if I wanted to look up Andalusia Elementary School, where would I go?
okay, you would go to D5 drawer
Which is,
right here,
okay.
and here you got schools.
And so when I go back in
then-
there, what would I find?
It depends on which school you're looking for. This is Church Street, East 3 Notch, High School, Middle School, So, you know.
So, are these individuals or these?
They're individual cards for whatever was happening at the school at that time.
At that time,
Mhm.
okay. So, let's see, high school PE facility completed, building passes final inspection, and that was on,
The Andalusia Star News, October the 16th, 2012, page 1.
okay, so that's recent, okay?
Mhm.
So, if we went back here, well, let's go back further.
If you want to go back to, try that one. What you can do is you can take them out.
Oh. Make life a little easy. Okay, this one here is Andalusia Grammar School, 69 graduate. Andalusia Daily Star, May 23rd, 1924, front page. So that was my birthday, but I wasn't even born yet. I was born 30 years later. So,
Well, a lot of these, you know, that's not the day, the date of the happening, but it was the date it was in the paper.
in the paper.
And
so
a lot of people get that confused.
I
And
didn't know that Andalusia Star was Andalusia Grammar there. I just learned something.
well,
heard the
Church Street
trumpets. School
School was actually built for the high school.
Oh,
It was the high school for a very short amount of time. I wasn't even aware of that until I was looking up the old high school annuals that they have at the museum. And then I wondered why, you know, all you saw was that school, and then it just rang a bell. And then I came and researched it and found out that it wasn't meant to be a grammar school to start off with.
okay. Let's see.
So,
I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Let's go to crime. I like crime.
Everybody likes
loves
crime.
Boy, we're going to go crime in here. Let's look back here. Let's see. Okay, now this is alphabetical.
it is alphabetical.
Shelter cats never saw vet.
Okay, and this is the person that is supposedly committed the crime.
Oh, okay.
And then this gives you the
I know
article.
that person. They didn't commit the crime.
Well,
I
It was-
exonerated them.
it was the newspaper anyway.
Right.
So, you know, we may have it down here later on where they were exonerated or whatever, but that's what was in the paper at the time, and we do use the name. It makes it easier for people to come in here and
So,
you know.
as a news person, I would find this quite fascinating. Wow. This is crime. Shot to death. Excuse me. Ed Ammons, shot by Fraser Jeter. The New Era, July 14th, 1905.
Back in the older days, people would shoot other people over the price of a pig. I mean,
Wow.
it just little things, because, you know, that was a big deal back then. You know, you had to feed your family, so that was a big deal. And there was a lot of, well, I won't say that.
Let's see.
People, you know, they say that back in the older days, back in the good old days, like they used to say, people were nicer to people. And my grandmother used to tell me, not necessarily. You know, she said, them good old days wasn't all good old days.
And they didn't have to worry about divorce according to this one, because here we've got Tillman E. Davis, Florella man admits poisoning wife.
Yep.
Tillman E. Davis. And the Andalusia Star, March 4th, 1930, front page. Wow. That is cool.
And he did go to jail.
Cool. Yeah, not cool that it happened. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, who would have thunk that? Now, okay, you see, I'm going to jump ahead now. All right. Now I got this information. I want
Right.
to see a picture.
You're not going to see a picture.
Not going to see a picture. I want to see a picture.
It depends on what year. Okay, let's see. Maybe. The older newspapers didn't carry a whole lot of pictures.
Oh, he was an insurance man. So this gets, you can find out more and more as you flip through.
Well, he does.
And he went to Kilby for safekeeping. I'm sorry, that's not funny, but Kilman for safekeeping. Okay, let's see. Let's see, Governor Miller
grants reprieve.
Grants reprieve to Tillman. Wow, so he got out.
I think he only got out for a little while.
Okay, and then he killed his other wife?
I don't know.
We're reading as we're going along here, folks. This is fascinating, just to say the least. But let's see.
So if you ever want to know if your family created a horrific crime, now we're not talking petty. Somebody stole gum at the dollar store. That won't be in here. It's just when something is really news-catching,
Harry L. Davis, one-time assistant postmaster at Lockhart, has been arrested at Georgiana, charged with embezzling $171 of Uncle Sam's money 3 years ago. Andalusia Star News, February 3rd, 1910. Folks, you can't...
You can't make this stuff up.
you can't, and it's funny is that is ongoing today. We've heard so many different,
except nowadays it would be like a couple of million.
Yeah,
that would be a big
not
deal.
$171.
Right.
Nobody would bother for $171. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, okay? And then we're going to go to these boxes, which are obituaries and names alphabetically, which that's got to be fascinating all in itself.
It is.
Linda, thank you so very much. We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you. This is exciting. I'm like going, I'll be here all the time now. Hey, folks, look out. I'm going to be looking up the history. And
there's a lot of things you can find when you
I
take
wonder
the time
who was
to read
related
it.
to him. Who was that guy that killed his wife and got
Tillman Davis.
Tillman Davis?
There's not a Tillman Davis in my ex's family, so I think I'm good there.
Well, that's kind of why I was. I was gonna go, is that a Davis related to you?
You really don't want to hear this on the news.
Folks, we'll be back. It's a great time up here. Again, this is the kind of service and relaxation and enjoyment that you can have in researching your history or someone else's history. Like you want to come up and find something out about her family, just come on up here and you can dig it out.
Yep.
And but one good thing, mine isn't in here.
But those other websites I was telling you.
I don't want to talk about that. We ain't going to give nobody any help here now. But folks, again, what are your hours up here?
8 to 5 Monday through Friday and 8 to 12 on Saturday.
And folks, I'm not kidding you. She is so helpful up here. I've watched her and the other staff members when we've been up here over the past week. Somebody comes up here and I know.
They always send them to me. They always
do.
say, she's the one that handles the dead people. I don't handle the dead people. Well, we have a children's librarian for the children because, I would rather deal with the dead people because they're quiet.
Dead people don't tell tales.
Huh?
Dead people don't tell tales.
Yes, they do. Tell a lot of tales.
This Davis thing, we're going to do some research on that. Let me get out of here so we can go to a commercial break.
Okay.
You want them to have, say hi to David. I want to say hi, David.
Hey, David. Who's David? Okay.
Well, we'll be right back right after these messages from down here at Andalusia Library. Folks, welcome back once again. I'm having a lot of fun, okay? And I'm not making jokes about things and trying to be funny, but there's interesting things that do make light of things that happen. When you sit there and you read about man poisons his wife, okay? Then he is granted, what was that?
He got a 30-day reprieve from the governor.
And you don't hear
that. But he did
happen.
end up going to prison.
But how do you get a 30-day reprieve? I mean, that won't happen today.
Well, now, in the olden days, if somebody was in jail, now I don't know why he was reprieved because it was...
pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. But if the man's family was having a hard time, and let's say it was time to be bringing in
the crops.
Yeah, the crops or whatever. They would give him time to go home and do that, and then he'd have to come back and finish serving his sentence.
Wow.
So, you know, they didn't, families, they tried to, even though he had to do his jail time, they still tried to make it, you know, not everybody in the family suffered.
Right.
So it was, things were just different. Things you wouldn't see nowadays.
All right. Now, we come from over here, and we're going over here, and it says obituaries right here, and we're looking at 1885 as a start, and then it goes to current. All right. What are we doing here when we come to this part?
If you know about what year someone died, we got 1980 here, and let's say it was Mildred Beebe. She died, it was in the newspaper on December 26, 1980, in the Andalusia Star. But that may not be the day she died. So you would go to, from here, you would get the microfilm roll and go into the microfilm room and read it off the newspaper. And it would tell you when she died. It usually gives, you know, her children, normal things like obituaries do now. But if you're looking for a real old one, these, they're kind of weird because like in the Covington Times, they're looking for a Mary Bagley. The old newspapers did not have a section for obituaries. Ott would have their own little section, Red Level had their own little section, Gant would have their own little section in the newspaper, and you had to find those because they're all scattered throughout the newspaper. And then you would have to read, and sometimes it would say the family is so saddened by the death of Mary Bagley. And that was all they would say. And if you're not reading the newspaper really well, you're going to skip it totally. So the old newspapers, you have to be really careful because everybody nowadays thinks, you know, we're spoiled to the fact that everything's going to be lined up like ducks in a row, and it's not. Well, what I did, and I had a lady with me at one time that was wonderful. She would come in and do a bunch of typing for me. We took everything that's in the card catalog and we did it alphabetically. So it makes it so much easier than going through all this because most people that come in here don't know what year someone died. And this book is all the way up to 1985, and it's the same information you would find on these cards. It's just done alphabetically. And it just makes it a whole lot easier because if you don't know what year someone died, this is useless.
Right.
So that has been a world of help for most people. And then over here, if you're looking for a cemetery listing, you don't know where they're buried, you're just going to look at the A's. All Adams is done alphabetically. It doesn't matter what cemetery they're done, it's done alphabetically by name. But it will show you the cemetery listings on all of them.
I'm going to look. I got to. Let's see. I'm looking, my mom passed away, and she passed away here in Andalusia Hospital. And let's see if they got her in here. It'd be right after that one.
Was it in the newspaper?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Huh.
Nope. Huh. It'd be Lewis. Will it be in alphabetical order?
Okay, 2001?
2001, 2002.
So this is 2002 when she passed away?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was 2002, right?
Didn't say we was perfect now.
I was just curious because that'd be interesting. Anyway, this is fascinating me, and I'm sure it could fascinate y'all out there too. And Linda, you're here 5 days a week, except federal holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the library's open.
Well, now I do work down at the museum Monday
yeah.
and Tuesday mornings.
Right.
And people should really come out and support that also, because
That's pretty neat. I've been out there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a story with you on that as well. And
it's
get over there.
It kind of gets neglected a little bit, but I've been trying to put the two together,
It's a good idea.
and so people have not only down there for a visual of a lot of stuff that happened and old tools and stuff like that, but then they can come up here and get information on people that did that stuff.
Well, it's neat. Okay, you're going to have a copy of this interview and all the interviews that we do with you to put into your library.
Okay.
Okay, and then 50 years from now, people are going to get to see what you talked about today.
Yeah, if they can understand me. I have a tendency to go in too fast because I just assume
You're
people
doing
know.
fine. Doing fine. You mess up my wires on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll have
I'm a little nervous.
But what time are you here till?
Till 5 o'clock,
And you open up when?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. And then there's other people here when you're not here to assist in research.
If somebody needs help, any of the librarians downstairs. Now, there are a few that's not as well familiar with the microfilm reader. And I do have to tell you that we do not have the 1940 census, which is out now, but most of them are digitized, and it's extremely, costs a lot.
Wow.
And, we're a little library, so
Right.
Karen
Well,
is
maybe
wonderful
we can get some
about
businesses to look into
Karen is great about trying to get grants for us and stuff like that, and we hope to start digitizing everything that we have, which will be so much easier. But I'm pulling for it.
Well, we appreciate you doing this. We didn't get over this segment to the blue and gray filing cabinets, which we will do in another segment here, hopefully the next week or so. And we're going to go to the microfiche. We're going to go through all this whole thing, and we're going to ask somebody over the next couple of days if they want to come down here and start from scratch. And we'll videotape that with you, taking them through step by step.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be great.
All right. So it's up to you all out there. Give us a call at 334-635-7111. And if we're not answering, leave a message, because we're out doing these things all day long. And we'll get back with you. If you're interested in coming out here to the library, we'll select one person to come on out, and you'll help us take that person all the way through what we just did.
Okay.
And further.
Okay.
Maybe they'll find out that over here in murders that
Yeah, you don't know.
you always wonder if you had an uncle that got hung for horse thievery,
Well, I did have one couple that came in here. It's been several years ago now, but the husband, you could tell, was very bored with the whole thing, and the lady was, just really excited about it. She went to this crime thing, and she read off her name, and this person had done something really bad. And all of a sudden, her husband perked up and, let me read that. I got to go see that, and he wanted
Go
to see
figure.
it. She said, that was not my family. And he said, yeah, it was too. So you just never know.
You can get the dirt on. Oh, there you go. Boy.
But
I almost said something. I would get in trouble. But no, y'all come on down again, and Miss Linda will treat you right. The whole staff here at the library is just phenomenal. We feel like we're a kid in a candy store here, and we so thank you for coming on and sharing this with us.
Okay.
And look forward to you coming on further and helping us out with some more things.
okay.
You done well, Linda. You done
All
well.
right, well, nervous.
From the library in Andalusia, this is Eddie Lewis reporting for WKNI TV 25.